Hi, good people. Thank you so much for joining me on yet another podcast. My name is Nyawera Mureithi. Today, I would like us to talk about sexual purity and sex before marriage. So, first things first, I don't think there's any religion that teaches people to have sex before marriage. And when I say marriage, I mean opposite sex. That's why God really created a male and a female. But hey, we have LGBTQ and all that. Myself, I am not a supporter of LGBTQ, but I mean those people are our brothers, our sisters, our uncles, our aunties, our shoshes, our kukas. But we choose God way, man and woman, faithful. And I think their God was not stupid, and our African culture was not stupid when they say that someone should wait until marriage. Why? Because, man, you will get exposed to things outside here. I remember hearing some people saying, hey, sijui siwezi elewa na bwana sijui anatoshana aje and all that. Yani, you've experienced so much life outside here that when you get married, you realize sijui bwana wako game yake iko chini, iko down. And of course, you're not getting satisfied. So you actually have to go outside there and get mpango. So those are just some of the things you actually avoid when you actually choose to wait until marriage, because you can actually really be patient in marriage, and regardless of the game of your husband, because you have no prior experience, you will actually be patient and get to learn each other. And yeah, and going back even into our African culture, girls were told to wait until they were married. According to our African culture, there were no gays and there were no lesbianism. Whatever was actually being practiced in African culture was polygamy. For a man to get a second wife, there was a reason. A man had to have sons, because sons basically they inherit him, or rather au ndo wanabaki home and the girls get married. So if a woman, the first wife, was not giving birth to sons, so the man would get another wife to give birth to sons. Yet we all know biologically, because now we have technology and all that, we actually know it is the man who determines the sex of the children. In this case, whether it is a son or a daughter. But now, of course, our forefathers, they didn't have the science and all that and the technology, so they actually didn't know. But that's how it used to work for them. So basically, when you bring in a second wife or a third wife, there was a reason. So like I know a scenario was told by my shosha. The first wife would give birth to children and they would die. So they thought probably there's a bad omen or there's something wrong with her. So probably they try and do those sacrifices, sijui they chinja mbuzi and all that. And then when everything doesn't work out, then they get a second wife. If the second wife probably gives birth to daughters and probably one son, and they feel like they want to have several sons, then they would get maybe the third wife. Yes? But now, even the second wife, she was expected to be a virgin by the time she was getting married. And this is the Africa that we were raised in. And I remember some time back, few years back, I remember people ridiculing the story. I don't know how true that was, but there was a certificate that was actually circulating on social media circles few years down the line. And they were saying, sijui in Islam, there was somewhere it was supposed to be marked if the girl was a virgin or not. But then, forget about the girl's virginity or not, because I believe even our boys should be, yeah? Because we actually make this seem like it's a one-sided story. Like it's only the girls who are supposed to be virgin by the time they're getting married. And about the men, of course, in our African setup, if the man had the first wife, of course, we don't expect him to be. He already have a wife, so he's actually sexually active. But in this scenario, you're getting a wife, you're getting a young man and a young woman, and they're starting a family. So we're actually expecting the both of them should be virgins. Yes. And there are actually even some tests that should be done in African culture to actually check that this girl is actually a virgin. And you see, the bad part, yeah, or the good part, where they can actually get away with it is for men, it is actually hard to know. Yes. Yes. And to just break away from that, this scenario I had seen it trending online. They're actually saying, there was a tribe, because in this scenario you have a lady who's a virgin and you have sijui a man who's a virgin. So at they would meet at sijui the aunties of the bride would teach the guy some unajua some bit of intimacy kidogo, na asiende pia akikuwa 2-0. And then I'm thinking, but why? You aunties, you've slept with so many people and now you want to defile my husband. And me now I have kept me, and then you guys think you're going to defile him so that you can come defile me with your jabs. Shindwe shetani. Some tabias anyway. I don't want stones, but I just feel like that is crap. That is not even okay. Like, why would he really? You can actually teach him without doing it yourself, and that's why you have things like sex toys and all that and demonstrations. Yes. Anyway, moving on. So, we are Africans, So, if you actually go by our culture, we should actually wait until marriage to have sex. Yes, or rather, when you get a good partner, who you're ready to settle down with. Yes. And even the Bible doesn't support fornication. And fornication in this case, it means sex before marriage. But of course, things do happen. And that's why we have people practicing secondary virginity. Yes. And as long as someone is not your spouse, I don't understand why you would go outside there and have sex with them. Unless there's someone you're in a committed relationship and you're working towards having a family. Yes. Anyway, things happen, you find yourself, and yeah, you just stand up and just move on with life. Unajichuna masikio and life goes on. However, I really do support abstaining till marriage, but of course, if you really do find yourself whereby you compromise and things do happen, I mean, we have second chances and you can actually practice secondary virginity. Yes. And wait until marriage and you actually go enjoy. But now there's this notion I've seen with actually most of my friends, and we've actually been we actually just talk, yeah, for the people who are not married, and they actually say you have to test before you drive, But now I remember we were in a youth meeting, and there's a person who said, I think around 2019, da, and he was actually telling us, so we're having just a youth meeting, and he was just telling us, if someone has a problem with, like they really do want to test you, and they really do want to have sex with you before marriage, and they feel like probably you're not okay, and they have to test you, and then probably if they test you and leave you, then what happens? Of course, you're going to pick yourself up and you move on. But then you can actually go to a gynecologist. You can actually go to a gynecologist and just make sure you're fine. That's why you have things like ultrasounds. That's why we have things. We have gynecologists, and even for men, there was a story I was given of a guy. He actually married, but he was impotent, and I think hangesimamisha and all that. So, so they actually, because they were church people, and that boy was so ashamed to say. And so wanaenda honeymoon alafu mtu asimamishi man, and unajua zile mamioto you've really waited and you're like this is it, time yetu ya kujibamba, and then nothing happens for 2 good years and you're married. My God. So So some people who really want to wanasemanga nchi ya nasa nchi ya tabia mbaya. But of course, like, you can actually know some of those things. You can actually go to a gynecologist, and there are safe ways for you to discover some of those things. Yeah. So we have counselors, we have gynecologists for that, and of course, you trust God and you pray God, and God can't really give you something bad, really. Yeah. But of course, above and beyond, we use our heads and we think straight. Yeah. So thank you very much. And I think we need to raise children, like I had said actually in another podcast. We need to raise our children in a safe space whereby they will, because you really feel good as a parent when you know that your daughter really waited until marriage. But of course, we also want to raise our kids whereby they're going to reach a certain age when they are of age, where now they're going to make decisions for themselves in regards to sex. Yes? We're not just having sex equally or whatever because maybe they were exposed to that when they are young, they were raped, they were assaulted, or maybe they saw even us as parents doing that.